Caribbean Weather Dude YouTube channel. Joey only here in Wells, BC, 3,953 feet above sea level. There's a lot to talk about today. I was trying to give a week-long forecast coming up, but I'm not sure if I can do that in 20 minutes or less. We're going to try to get through as much as we can. So, the severe thunderstorm watch has been on in southern British Columbia. This time of recording, which is about 7 p.m. right now. It's still on for a little while later. Thunderstorms are firing down there. We've had at least one severe thunderstorm that reached that status, at least, that went west of Logan Lake. It was going 15 kilometers an hour west. Unusual motion for most people. You don't usually expect to see them come that way. They sometimes do, of course, but it's always a bad sign when a storm comes from the wrong way, and it had some broad rotation in it as well. So some strong storms down there. Nice line in the West Kootenays right now as well. A lot of lightning. Concerned about new fire starts, a big-time concern. Speaking of fire, Highway 20 is now closed. I had videos sent to me by Keen and Blight. He was heading home to Bella Coola, got to about Anaheim Lake, and they put the signs up. He was like, just missed the road closure. So what's going on is there's a dinner that's been prepared or being prepared. I'm not sure what the status of that is right now in the Anaheim Lake Community Center to help people out. I know he's going to camp for the night. They may have the highway open at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Of course, fire activity tends to calm down during the evening hours, so hopefully by 6 a.m. things are calm enough that for a couple hours they can let people through, but there's no guarantee of that, folks, so don't count on that. There's no guarantee. I think that's just one of the hopes that's been communicated to people who are stranded there right now. Okay, so Highway 20 is closed. Severe thunderstorms are going on. We have the risk of thunderstorms again on Monday in British Columbia, particularly now. Maybe the Caribbean gets our turn. I'm still skeptical because of how much smoke's in the air. We're just not getting that ground heating, although we have a lot of thunderstorms today despite the smoke down south, and that's because there's more trigger aloft in the atmosphere, right? So we required the first bunch of days ground heating to really fire up the dry thunderstorms. The good news is we're getting to the part of the forecast that I had, for this time period, if you go back a couple of days, where I said, well, things will start turning rainier at least as we get in the thunderstorm pattern later in the week, as we get into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They should get rainier. There should be more high precipitation thunderstorms within these storms. So that's good news, at least, that we avoided a lot of dry lightning when we really could have had it. I think if the sun had poked through that smoke and warmed that ground enough to make the air rise, we would have had a lot more lightning in the province. Okay, let's run the thing. There it is.
This is bad news. My gosh. Anything could happen.
Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. Hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, become a channel member if you want, join the Patreon, keep supporting. If you see me on Facebook, send me stars, that helps. Content creator here who's dedicated to doing the best I can to give you factual information as best I can. That's my goal. My goal is not to scare you or freak you out. It's to have you prepared, have knowledge in your hands so you know what to do. None of this freaks me out. The fact that all this is going on, and even I said to my friend Keen, he said, well, I'm not in a hurry anyways. And I said, well, you wouldn't move to Bella Coola if you're in a hurry in life, so, have a nice camp out in Anaheim Lake tonight. Okay, Joey, why aren't you worried? There's a lot of fire going off. Well, I am worried for people's homes and for the forest. I'm worried in that regard, but I don't get freaked out by this stuff, and I'm not trying to make you freaked out. That's the thing. I've went to battle fighting fires lots of my career. And, a lot of seasons I would be there right now doing this stuff. It's like, well, we got to put our head down, get through it, support each other, work as a community, and what happens in disasters is people work together and you see the best in people. And then I think why can't humanity be like that all the time? That's the spirit that I wish to live in, personally. So we continue to have thunderstorm threat on Monday. We'll have an updated map in the morning and we'll have more on the channel, of course, as the developments happen. It looks to me like our best chance of severe potential, should the smoke allow it, would be in that area C, which is probably from Quesnel on down to 100 Mile House, whatever, over to the North Thompson, out to the Chilcotin. And I say that because we got the highest precip totals in there, but they're all, none of these setups so far look like explosive, look like, nothing to me has me alarmed. I'm not sitting here saying tornadoes and giant hail. No, we could have some small hail. Area A probably was where the storms pop up. They'll probably be at their weakest at that point. They'll move into area B and C and gain some strength, maybe for moments in time, like a couple of storms did this afternoon, produce small hail, whether that's pea-sized or dime-sized or nickel-sized. So, the risk of severity is there. Yeah, okay. But we're not seeing a moderate risk of it happening. A higher chance of can we say for sure thunderstorms are going to happen? Well, there's a minor risk. Yeah, could see some strong thunderstorms. I think the smoke is the big reason why we're still if we can't get that ground cooking and baking close to 30 degrees, that does help fire activity a little bit, but also what does it do? It really stunts the growth of a thunderstorm. So we're looking still thunderstorms, and it's not like Monday is unique. Tuesday and Wednesday we got the risk of thunderstorm in southern British Columbia as well. That is going to be the case. But I'm looking at this afternoon. I tell you, I looked at this map a couple hours ago and I seen a lot of red dots and I thought, oh my God, yeah, she's blowing up. That's all recent fire activity. The yellow is more, this map right now is showing us fire activity detected from space, from hotspot detection, in the last 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, well, often you don't see too much red. You see some orange and you see lots of white. And it's this is a situation where things are blowing up. They're blowing up. These fires are absolutely lifting off and torching. They're really torching big. Smoke is really bad in the Caribou right now. Fires are torching up. I'm not going to tell you which fire I think is which. We don't have updated perimeter maps. So which one do I think is closing the highway off? It could be 5180. Could be 51672. Could be 1845. It could be any one of these ones here that are close to the road and whatnot. Doesn't matter really which one it is. You can't get to Bella Coola right now. That's the way it is. We'll get proper updates from official authorities and find more out in time. Doesn't matter. You get to Anaheim Lake, you're stopped there, and you're sitting at the gas station, and maybe you're going to the community center for dinner. So compare all the red dots that you just seen up there to the lack of color here. So I don't know how much extreme we're seeing in fire activity down south. I don't know how much. Looks like some of these guys in the States are pretty active during the last scan. It's crazy. It's a crazy amount of fire in the Chilcotin, but I got to say this about it. If you've been watching my channel a long time, you would remember, maybe it was March or April, I don't know, we were getting snowpack data. It was maybe even February. We're getting snowpack data. Yeah, I think I started making my first talks about fire season back in February. We're getting snowpack data, and I was saying, look, some parts of BC are pretty good, some aren't. The Chilcotin's really bad. Then we got into by the time we got to April, I know we were talking about it because we were getting that spring fire season, that early spring fire season where everything's dead from the winter. And if a little bit of wind gets in there and get a warm enough day, sometimes fires take off in the spring real good. So at that time, for absolute sure, I was talking about the Chilcotin. I was like, look how dry the Chilcotin's been. Look, the Chilcotin's been in drought the last couple of years. Look, they're the one place in BC that's still kind of in drought. As we've been going through this year, it's hey, some improvement in the Chilcotin. Nah, it's getting worse again. What's awesome, why I'm not that freaked out, is because this could have been happening a long time ago if we'd had the right weather conditions, the right things line up. If some fires had torched off out there and we had a long dry period, we could have seen some of this activity a long time ago. We could be in July right now looking at this highway closed right now and saying, oh my God, we got still a month and a half of good burn season probably left. So to me, this is it's bad. It's really bad right now. It's awful for everybody involved. It's awful for anybody who's there. Anybody who can't get through. But hey, if we can break through, if we can get through the next little while, we should eventually see the temperatures come down a little bit. We should eventually see a little bit of rain come in the province. We should eventually see a reduction in fire activity. It's the fall. How long can this really hot weather go on for in September? Well, how long can it go on for? Well, here's some good signs. Coastal mountains taking a little bit of rain. Can some of that squeeze up into the Chilcotin? And thunderstorms coming from the southeast into the Caribou tomorrow. Could be the strongest. Looks like around Williams Lake could be a good line. Looks like we'll probably see some lightning here in Wells. I can't wait. I'll be out filming. That's into the evening. So we could see some mountain flashing late into the evening. But look, a little bit of rain came down there in the ECMWF models. Of course, not all the models agree. But hey, the high pressure's reestablishing. Uh-oh. Look at that. It's still warm in Kelowna. 16 degrees at 3 in the morning. Tuesday morning. Some of that lingering rain and precip is hanging around the Caribou. And for some reason, just the first touch of sunlight's enough to make it possibly throw a few sparks of lightning in there. Again, the smoke is the prohibitor. The smoke's the prohibitor that that's going to make things difficult. Now, southern BC looking drier on our thunderstorms on Tuesday. Looking drier, less rain, Caribou a little better. But hey, look at this. Like, as you're into this pattern, there is rain at least in some of these. I'm not saying it's enough to change the story. No, it's not enough. But it may be enough that lightning strikes take a bit of rain too, and it either prevents them from taking off quickly or suppresses them, or sometimes just puts the candling tree out altogether or whatever, right? So just a little bit of, we want some rain. We need some rain. Alberta, Fort McMurray, Wednesday morning. I hope that happens for you. That would be epic. That's a good looking thunderstorm first thing in the morning. I'll wake up, boomer. You go to work out there in the rig or whatever you're doing, and flash, 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 flash. You're getting shut down for lightning first thing in the morning. They do take their lightning pretty seriously up there. Some of those convective cells moving across Wednesday through the north there. Large, though, pressure system up in, and this is the Northwest Territories needed this. This is very windy though, so I hope it doesn't make their fires too crazy. The temperatures aren't that cool. They will take a little bit of rain, so that's a bit of a concern there, the wind and whatnot. Again, thunderstorms Wednesday morning down south more. You can see this large low pressure system now in the Gulf of Alaska. It's closer to where we're used to seeing our low pressure systems moving through instead of up to the far north like they have been last little bit. That's an atmospheric river, almost certainly. If it stalls in one place anywhere up there in the Alaska Panhandle, they are going to get absolutely soaked and drenched there. And Wednesday evening, our storms are more or less petered out. Alberta's starting to take some at that time. We do see a risk of severe increasing in the prairies this week. We'll be talking about that as it gets closer. I don't necessarily forecast for the prairies outright, but we do talk about it, and if there's something really important going on. But these look like some isolated cells. That's early in the morning, Thursday morning, just torching off in Regina. So if that can kind of move through and catch some sunlight, get some warmth in it. But here we are, Thursday at noon. Here we go, noon, 27 degrees Vernon, 25 Williams Lake. That's still fire weather. It's still fire weather. So I'm like... still fire weather. What does this do in the long run? That's kind of an outlier. I don't want to make a solid prediction on what that's going to look like. Does everywhere south of Prince George stand the risk for a little bit of lightning between now and Wednesday evening? Yes. Maybe a little bit of rain too? Yes. But things aren't cooling off that much. Vernon's still at midnight. Kelowna, they're at 16 degrees on Friday morning, right? Come on, what's this rain going to do? Is it going to be allowed to come in? Well, Surf Inlet's taking some. We would love to see that rain come through. Of course, one of my concerns is a wind event if low pressure system, if a cold front can move through this week. Maybe some more lightning on Friday morning down south there, or Friday afternoon, I should say. We're really hoping that this rainfall band out there can win. It can come in there and hit into the Chilcotin later this week. That would be great. But we're also hoping that we don't see a wind event this week. So those are the things I'm going to be watching for: is A, thunderstorm activity; B, how warm can it stay? Kelowna again, 18 degrees at midnight coming into Saturday morning. It's still pretty warm. This is the middle of September, and she's pretty warm. It keeps just not letting us cool off. And I don't know, this seems to think that a new low develops and steals that moisture, and it doesn't make it fully inland. But that's some rain. Come on. That's Saturday. That's almost a week away, so we're not going to guess too much. But there's some hopeful signs, at least in the ECMWF modeling. We could cross-reference with the other modeling, through everything. But I find ECMWF the most reliable. But here we are, a week out in our forecast, and GFS and ECMWF are no, there's going to be rain coming to that area. So there's some good news for the Chilcotin. There's reasons why this could be way worse than it is, but hey, look at this. The warmth, still staying warm. That's not as extremely warm as we've been, but we're still in the middle of September hitting 20 degrees through most of the interior. Maybe Prince George being the outlier that doesn't quite make it all the way by next week, Sunday. So that's a week out. That's what we're looking at this week. That's what we'll be forecasting for this week. This is what we'll be talking about on Monday morning. So come back to the channel then. I'll try to have the most up-to-date information when the new models are up. Everything's refreshed in the morning. We have our best look. We can look at the radar and be like, well, that bunch of moisture's hanging around out there. Good. That's the moisture that's going to get hit by the sun and wake up come thunderstorms today. We're just going to know a lot more in the morning. That's how it goes. But that's your week out look. That's where we're going right now. It's exciting to see some rain on the horizon, I guess. I've been really enjoying this warm weather, but the smoke's terrible. I would have gone mountaineering last week, and I thought, well, I got to climb a mountain when everything's on fire everywhere and you can't even see. Anyways, gonna go to the Caribous there, climb a big old mountain, bushwhack, and it's up no trail to get to the peaks there around Ghost Lake or somewheres, and you'd be like, wow, what a great view. Hardly across the valley. I would like to see that. I would like to see my friends who are trapped not be trapped. I'd like to see my friends who are getting evacuated in places out there not be evacuated. I'm with you. I stand with you, and I'm not trying to be cold to the story. I'm just saying, I'm not here to scare you. I'm trying to help as best I can, give information that I think is reliable, and prepare you for what we need to do as a people, as a community, as a province to get through it all together. Only together will we win. Okay, that's it for today. Become a channel member if you would. I would be so appreciative of that. Or buy me a coffee. That'd be great. Okay, bye now.